Hello everyone and welcome back to Cute Crochet. My name is Sri and in today's video I am going to show you how to crochet this adorable mini flower pot amigurumi. It's really easy to make and a great gift for any occasion. Here I have made a sunflower and a daisy following the same pattern. You can make many different kinds of flowers like this just by changing out the colors. To make these, you will need yarns in the colors you want to use for the petal, the center and the leaves of the flower, some clay color for the pot and some dark brown for the soil. I have used some pillow fluff to stuff the pot and the center of the flower, and I have used a glass bead to weigh down the pot. You will need around 6 inches of wire for the stem. Here I have used aluminium wire. And for tools, you are going to need a crochet hook, a yarn needle, something to use as a stitch marker and a pair of scissors. So let's get started. For the pot, I am going to use this clay colored yarn. This is a 4-ply yarn and with it I am going to use a 3mm crochet hook, which is a couple of sizes smaller than what is recommended for this yarn. It's actually recommended to use a 4mm hook with this. We do this so that our stitches are nice and tight and none of the stuffing shows through. We are going to start by making a magic circle. To do that, wrap your yarn up and over your finger like so, forming a cross in the front. Then insert your hook underneath the cross. Take the yarn from the other side and pull through. Then again yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook. Now remove this loop from your finger and this is the magic circle that we are going to work into. Start by making a chain 1. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch. Then we are going to make 6 single crochets into the magic circle. To make a single crochet, insert your hook into the magic circle and pull up a loop. You will have 2 loops on your hook like this. Yarn over and pull through the 2 loops and that finishes 1 single crochet. Let's do it again. Insert your hook into the magic circle and pull up a loop. 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through 2. Now we are going to make 4 more single crochets like this for a total of 6 single crochets. After you finish making 6 single crochets, you can pull on this tail to cinch the magic circle completely closed, and this brings us to the end of round 1. At the end of round 1, we have 6 single crochets. This amigurumi is going to be worked in continuous rounds, so we need to mark the last stitch of the round. For that I am using a paper clip here, but you can use anything. You can use a yarn in a different color or you can also get proper stitch markers. Round 2 is an increase round. For this round, we are going to increase in each stitch all the way around. An increase is simply placing 2 single crochets into one stitch. So, go into that first single crochet and make 1 single crochet. Then make 1 more single crochet into that same stitch and that is our increase stitch. Again, into the next stitch, place 2 single crochets. Now into the remaining 4 stitches of the round, make increases, that is 2 single crochets into the same stitch. When you reach the last stitch of the round, remove the stitch marker and place 2 single crochets into that stitch as well. This brings us to the end of round 2. At the end of round 2, you will have 12 single crochets. Go ahead and mark the new last stitch of the round. For round 3, we are going to increase into every alternate stitch. So, into that first stitch, make a single crochet. Then into the next stitch, 2 single crochets. Then into the next stitch, 1 single crochet, then increase. Continue repeating like this. Single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, increase all the way around. Once you reach the last stitch, remove the stitch marker and place 2 single crochets into it. For this and every other increase round, you should be increasing into the last stitch, and if you are not, you must have done something wrong in your counting and you will have to recheck your work. Go ahead and mark the new last stitch of the round. At the end of round 3, you will have 18 single crochets. For round 4, we are going to be working into the back loops only. If you look at each stitch carefully, they have a front loop and a back loop. We are going to only go under the back loop to make the stitches like so. We are going to make 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around in the back loops only, keeping the stitch count constant at 18. I am going to finish the round like this and meet back up with you. Here I am at the end of round 4. You will have 18 stitches all the way around. Working into the back loops only will create a flat bottom for the pot. Go ahead and replace the stitch marker. For round 5, place 1 single crochet into the first 5 stitches. Then into the next stitch, increase. Again 1 single crochet into the next 5 stitches. Into the next stitch, increase. Now repeat this sequence one more time. 1 single crochet into the next 5 stitches and then increase. Like every other increase round, you should be increasing in the last stitch. At the end of round 5, you will have 21 single crochets. For round 6, place 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around, keeping the stitch count constant at 21. For round 7, place 1 single crochet into the first 6 stitches. Then into the next stitch, increase. We are going to repeat this sequence 2 more times. 1 single crochet into the next 6 stitches and then increase. Again 1 single crochet into the next 6 stitches and into the last stitch, increase. Like every other increase round, you should be placing an increase into the last stitch. At the end of round 7, you will have 24 single crochets. Round 7 was our last increase round. For rounds 8 and 9, we are going to place 1 single crochet into each stitch all the way around, keeping the stitch count constant at 24. I am going to finish making these 2 rounds and then I am going to meet back up with you. Here I finished making up to round 9. Now I am going to slip stitch into the front loop of the next stitch. Now we are going to start to make double crochets for the lip of the pot. Start by chaining 3. This will act as the first double crochet. Then into the front loop of the next stitch we are going to make a double crochet. To make a double crochet, yarn over, go into the front loop and pull up a loop. You will have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops. Then again yarn over and pull through the remaining 2. That's our double crochet. In the front loop of the next stitch, again make a double crochet, yarn over, go into the next stitch and pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Repeat like this all the way around. Here I finished making double crochets into the front loop of each stitch all the way around. Now I am going to slip stitch into the third chain of the first chain 3 to join, and this brings us to the end of round 10. Cut the excess yarn and fasten off, leaving a long enough tail for weaving in. Leave that yarn tail hanging there for now. When you fold over the top edge like so, you will create the shape of your pot. Next, we'll make the soil using dark brown yarn. The first 3 rounds of the soil are the exact same as that of the pot. I have made them already. Now for round 4, we are going to increase in every third stitch, but we are going to stagger our increases so that our piece does not become too hexagonal. Start by making 1 single crochet into the first stitch. Then in the next stitch, increase. Then make 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. Then in the next stitch, increase. We are going to repeat this sequence of 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches and then increase 4 more times for a total of 5 times. In the second last stitch of the round, I am making an increase stitch. Then remove the stitch marker and place one single crochet into the last stitch. This brings us to the end of round 4. At the end of round 4, you will have 24 single crochets. Then slip stitch into the next stitch and then cut the excess yarn and fasten off, leaving a long enough tail for sewing on the soil. The soil should fit perfectly on top of the pot with the exact same number of stitches all the way around. Next, we are going to make the calyx of the flower using this green yarn. I am going to start by leaving out around 10 inches of yarn for wrapping the stem. And then I am going to make a magic circle in the same way as before. The first 2 rounds are the same as that of the pot and the soil, so I am not going to go too much into detail of those 2 rounds. For round 1, place 6 single crochets into the magic circle. For round 2, increase in each stitch around. At the end of round 2, you will have 12 single crochets. For round 3, we are going to make one single crochet into each stitch all the way around, keeping the stitch count constant at 12. Here I am at the end of round 3. Slip stitch into the next stitch and then fasten off, leaving a little bit of a tail for weaving in. Now I am going to do something to make the ending look very seamless. I am going to create a fake stitch on top of the next stitch using this yarn tail. This is the stitch where I have slip stitched. We are going to skip the next stitch and into the next stitch we are going to come in from the back and then pull the yarn tail through. Then we are going to come back to the slip stitch that we made before and walk into the back loop of it only. Come in through the back loop from the back. Then pull the yarn tail through. As you can see, it will create a fake stitch on top of the real stitch without compromising the stitch count. You can pull and tug on the yarn tail to make it look exactly like the rest of the stitches. Now it's a perfect circle. I have made the same piece in yellow for the center of the flower. For the center, however, you don't need to leave a long tail at the beginning. Next, we are going to get started on the stem. First, I am going to bring this yarn tail to the right side of the piece through the center. Then bring in the wire. Here I have taken about 6 inches of aluminium wire that I have bent in half. I am going to insert the wire into the calyx from the back. Here you can see the center as well as the first round. I'm going to put one prong through the center and one prong through any stitch of the first round and then pull it through. We are going to eventually wrap the wire with the yarn tail. Now that the calyx and the center are done, bring in the yarn you want to use for the petals and start by making a slip knot. Then we are going to line up the center and the calyx, tucking in all of the yarn tails and placing them bad side to bad side. Then insert a hook into one of the stitches of the center and one of the stitches of the calyx and make a single crochet through both the stitches. Then go through the next stitch on both the pieces and make a single crochet through both stitches. Repeat like this all the way around until there are 4 or 5 stitches remaining. Now there are 4 stitches remaining. At this point I am going to stuff the piece and I am also going to tuck in this yarn tail. After stuffing I am going to finish working the rest of the way around. Here I am at the end of round 1. You will have 12 single crochets all the way around. Now I am going to slip stitch into the first single crochet to join. Then for round 2 start by making 2 chains. Then into the same stitch where we slip stitched make 2 double crochets. Then chain 2 and slip stitch into the next stitch. This is our first petal. Push it over a bit if you need to make space for the next petal. Again chain 2, then make 2 double crochets into the same stitch. Again chain 2 and slip stitch into the next stitch. This is our second petal. We are going to continue making petals like this all the way around. Chain 2, 2 double crochets in the same stitch, chain 2, slip stitch in the next stitch. I am going to finish making the rest of the petals and then I am going to meet back up with you. Here I am making the last petal. For the last petal, we are going to slip stitch into the slip stitch of the previous round. Then I am going to cut the excess yarn and fasten off, leaving a little bit of a tail for weaving in. Bring that yarn tail to the back to make it easier to weave in. Next we are going to make the leaves with our green yarn. Start by making a slip knot. Then chain 6. Here I have made 6 chains. Now I am going to skip the first chain and make a single crochet into the second chain from the hook. Then in the next chain make a half double crochet. It's very similar to a double crochet. Yarn over once, then go into the next chain and pull up a loop. You will have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops at the same time. Then in the next chain we are going to make a double crochet. In the next chain, half double crochet. Then in the last chain, we are going to make 3 single crochets in the same chain. If the last chain becomes a bit loose, you can tighten it by pulling on this tail. Now we are going to start working down the other side of the chain. In the next chain, we are going to make a half double crochet. In the next chain, double crochet. In the next chain, half double crochet. In the last chain, 1 single crochet. Now slip stitch into the first single crochet. That's the first leaf complete. We are going to make a second leaf joined to the first leaf. For that, again chain 6. We are going to repeat the same thing as the first leaf. 1 single crochet into the second chain from the hook. In the next chain, half double crochet. In the next chain, double crochet. In the next chain, half double crochet. In the next chain, single crochet. Now we are going to work on the other side of the chain, but when we turn it over, the first chain gets a bit difficult to locate, so I am marking it with a stitch marker. Now we are going to turn over the piece, bringing that yarn tail and the crochet hook underneath the piece, like so. Now remove the stitch marker and place 1 single crochet into that first chain. Then in the next chain, half double crochet. Then in the next chain, double crochet. Then in the next chain, half double crochet. Then in the last chain, 2 single crochets. Then slip stitch into the first single crochet, and that completes the second leaf. Cut the excess yarn and fasten off, leaving a little bit of a tail for weaving in. I am going to bring the yarn tail to the back through the same stitch. Using a smaller crochet hook, I am going to weave in the yarn tails by bringing them through the back loops of many of the stitches. Next, I'm going to wrap the wire with the green yarn tail. Make sure to wrap it tightly and then push it down to the base of the flower. I like to do this little segments at a time. Once we have wrapped around 1 centimeter past where the flower lies, we are going to add the leaf. We are going to simply poke the wires through the center of the leaves. Make sure that the leaves are facing the same direction as the flower and then continue wrapping for 1 more centimeter. Once you're happy with the length of the stem, tie a couple of knots to secure it. Then we are going to attach the flower to the soil. First, I am going to bring that yarn tail to the center of the soil using my crochet hook. Then we are going to poke the wires to the center as well. Tie a knot using the green and brown yarn tails to secure it. Bend the wires into an S shape so that it's flat against the soil. Once you're done with this, the flower should be able to stand up on its own. Next, we are going to add the pot. First, I am putting in a glass bead inside the pot just to weigh it down so that it doesn't topple as easily. Then, I am filling it up with pillow fluff. Then, we are going to sew on the flower and the soil on top of the pot using this yarn tail. I have taken the yarn tail on a yarn needle. We are going to sew along these visible back loops. The number of stitches around the pot and the soil are the same, so this process should be pretty easy. I am starting by going through the very last back loop of the pot. I am taking the front loop of the stitches of the soil and the back loop from the pot and stitching through both of them. I will repeat like this all the way around. Here I finished sewing all the way around. Now bring in that yarn tail in through the last stitch and then out through the back of the pot. Leave that yarn tail hanging there for now and take the yarn tail of the pot on your yarn needle. Bring that yarn tail in under the lip of the pot and then out through the bottom. We are going to use this yarn tail to create a dimple at the bottom so that the pot is more stable. Just make a small stitch and then bring the yarn tail out through the same hole as the brown yarn tail of the shawl. The bottom should curve inwards a bit like this. Now tie a knot using these two yarn tails. Then cut the excess yarn and hide the knot inside by pushing it in using the back of your yarn needle. After everything we have done to make it stable, the pot should easily be able to stand up on its own. And that's it. I hope you guys like this video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.